Greetings, friends. Welcome to the Pin Tool Podcast. My name is Al Wayman, owner of Creek Road Pottery in Laceyville, Pennsylvania, next to the cold Tuscarora Creek. Pull up a chair around the wheel as we discuss topics concerning the art and craft of pottery, good books, storytelling, marketing, and creating work that matters for folks who care. Greetings, friends. It's me, Al Wayman, and welcome to the Pin Tool Podcast. This is Season 3, Episode 5 already, and we are in a new month, the month of March. So, it's been fairly warm and wet, and the creek down back, the old Tuscarora Creek, is running a bit high, and for the last 4 days, we had nothing but rain and very little sunshine. So I can't wait until the weather warms up. Been kind of busy, and just to do a review of February, what went well, I was able to get a lot of things done on time with a schedule. So that means getting this podcast produced and posted every other Sunday, which I wanted, and also my blog post and newsletter every other weekend, usually Saturday or Sunday. So I was really happy to be on schedule for at least 2 months. So I'm going to try to keep the streak going and see what happens, right? See what happens. I was able to be on time with the Pottery Dailies, which is a daily journal, thoughts, and image kind of thing. So if you'd like to sign up for the Pottery Dailies, check out the Pottery Dailies on my website. And you can sign up for the free Substack subscription and get something from me. Look, they're not all good, right? I'm not a writer. I'm a potter, and I try to make pots, right? But you'll get something from me, misspellings and all, in your email every day. And I've been doing that for 2 months now, and I'm really happy about that. A lot of ideas and things that I had in my head are finally getting out, and I'm really enjoying doing it. And I would do it even if I had no subscribers. Why would I do that? It's because when you go back and you look at what you've done and what you've said and what you've thought, it's a good guideline on where you're headed. And it's kind of like a map, right? So even when I didn't post or journal for others to see, I always kept a book somewheres about things that were going on, right? So now you can see, and now you can read that if you care. If not, it's not for you. Totally understood. So the newsletter sign up is different from the Pottery Dailies, because people who are just interested in the newsletter and are not interested in the Pottery Dailies, I didn't want to be sending them something every day in their inbox if they did not sign up for that. So I would find that kind of annoying. But if you wish to, go over there and check that out when you get time. Created Pots for the Spring Show coming up March 15th to the 17th. And I got a bunch of vases done and some bowls and some wine cups. I just need to throw 50 more bowls and probably 100 more mugs, and I'll have it. So I have probably about maybe 2 days work left of throwing. Then I need to hand mix more glaze, do an inventory of what I got, and then get those pots glazed and through the kilns. Shouldn't be too hard. I definitely have the space in the updrafts. They're pretty large kilns, so I remember back in the day getting ready for these shows when I only had one small kiln, and I could only fire 20 pieces at a time. And I used to have to fire every day back to back, including bisque. So I would start at the beginning of the week and just fire nonstop to get, at least 100, 150 pots out. And it was really intense, very stressful on the wait times. But since the last 3 years, I've been able to expand a little bit, found some great deals on some Olympic updrafts, and those have been a big help. And so I think about 3 kiln loads or 4 kiln loads will do this show. So I'm pretty happy about that. Got a decent start. It's only 2 weeks away, right? So I'm kind of worried I'm on the line. Had some custom orders come in. I got to make 50 wine cups for a Mother's Day mail out. That's going for a lady. Wanted 50 little wine cups. So I'm going to be working on those. And then more shade bowls, right? So another big thing in February, the Pottery as a business turned 9 years old. So happy birthday, Creek Road Pottery, as Creek Road Pottery. Next year, I'm going to have to do something big, right? It's going to be 10 years. Website's been up for 9 years. And the interaction on Facebook, a little bit longer. But it's just been great. Going back, I lost that one page, started a new one. So that's been going good. I've been kind of slacking on posting the social media because work at the paper factory has just been crazy, right? So I come home all tired out and don't feel like doing much on my days off in the pots. But the pots are a job, and I need to show up there more than I do and be more professional about it, right? So some things that were challenging, I already mentioned balancing work-life and self-care, seeing my family, and just being exhausted on my days off, working at the paper factory. Getting pots done on time, I feel a little bit rushed, and after working the paper factory, resistance is so strong to get down into the studio and actually make things. But I'm fairly confident I'll get it done. And wearing all the hats is very challenging, especially now that tax season is about ready to come up. And I need to get the books in order. And I need to get working on my taxes. So some things I learned last month, right? I learned that it's okay to ask for help. If you need help, go ahead and ask somebody. And also, I need to be more consistent in showing up for the pots, because it's important. Like I said, it's a job. I need to be more professional about it. And if I could show up for writing every day, right, I can show up for the pots. And that's what I want to do. I need to take more time to read, visit my family. My mom's going to be 89, and bless her heart, I love her very much, but I don't get to see her enough, right? Because of the pots and the paper factory job. I need to go easier on myself and have empathy, right? Because a lot of times we forget and we just beat ourselves into the ground, all the things that we coulda, shoulda, woulda. But there comes a point when you have empathy for others, generosity for others, and gratitude. You need to also share that with yourself, right? So making pots, you can have fun at work, right? So love creating. It's something I love doing. So I need to go easier on myself while I do that. And I think there's 1 or 2 people that like the work, and they would miss me if I was gone. And I only need 1 person to miss me if I was gone to matter, right? Because I make work for folks who matter, and I try to make change. So, also, I learned that being helpful in small ways can help someone else in big ways. It can even be answering a question for them about how to run square. It could even be a question about how to fire a thing. Or you can actually go and assist somebody in doing some small thing that would mean the world to them. So that's just an update on what's been going on here at Creek Road Pottery next to the cold Tuscarora Creek. This week, we're going to be continuing our study in the business model canvas. And we're going to be talking about revenue streams, right? And what that is, and how revenue streams are important for your business, what types of revenue streams there are. And so pick up a coffee, right? And we'll go down around the wheel and we will talk about revenue streams in selling your work. Because we already talked about value propositions, customer segments, right? So these are topics that don't get mentioned often in podcasts. Usually there's podcasts on pottery materials, there's interviews of potters. We listen to what they say. We enjoy that for sure. But my style is more of a business end of it, and to hopefully help you sell a few pots and make work that matters for folks who care, while bringing about some kind of change in your life and the people you make pots for, right? All right, so grab a coffee. It's a cold, rainy night, and we'll meet down by the wheel, the old treadle wheel. I need to make up the mugs, right? So meet me down there, and I'll see you in a bit. Greetings, friends. Welcome back. And pull up a chair around the wheel, and I'm gonna take a sip of coffee myself. Yeah, nothing like it. I love coffee. It's like one of my favorite drinks. And I was at the store the other day, and I found this big bag of 8 o'clock coffee. It was Italian dark roast and whole bean, right? So I got a grinder and ground some up. Oh, tastes great. So tonight we're going to be talking about revenue streams, and also we're going to be tossing some mugs. These mugs are going to be £1.25, and it's a good size for a coffee mug. My clay body shrinks probably about 14%, and usually the 1.25 with this clay is just enough. Some clays that shrink less, I usually can get away with 1 poundies, but these are going to be 1.25. All right, so the topic of revenue streams is going to be from the book Business Model Generation by Alexander Oswalder Yaves Pigneur. And it's an excellent book, and if you can pick that up, it's amazing, because in there they go over the business model canvas. And as I said in previous episodes, I've used the business model canvas in formulating ideas and doing test runs of the different sections, not only for building a business, but also new products, right? So that's a thing that you can look at, as it gives all the categories for both the business and even thoughts on how you're going to run a new product to a new customer segments, and how you're going to offer those customer segments value propositions. So say you're going to make a casserole dish, right? You need to go through all the things. Who's going to buy a casserole dish? Who will I target for a casserole dish? And how much will they pay me for a casserole dish of this type? And reoccurring customers, subscription-based people. Maybe you have an account where you write a blog, or you come on live and you throw, and people are your sponsors, and they pay a fee or give you support for a set amount every month. So there's a whole bunch of ways that you can use the business model canvas, but today we're going to be talking about revenue streams. So revenue streams is how you get paid by your customer segment for what you make, your product, and tied in with that, your value propositions. Because if they're true value propositions and they actually are true and they are working, your customers should pay you. They should want to pay you. And many times they will happily pay you if the pricing is correct. And if they care, right? So there's a whole bunch of different ways that potters can figure out and work out pricing. Sometimes people go with the price that the market will bear. Like in your local economy, you look around, all right, what are people here charging for mugs? And you may charge that just roughly, either a little above or a little below, whatever it is. Sometimes if you're a hobby potter, you may undercut a professional potter and they may get a little bit grumpy about that. But in my opinion, I know I'm gonna get some flack for saying this, maybe, but it's fine if you do that, right? Because a hobby potter, their mugs aren't going to be the same as a professional's, right? Different value propositions and a whole different customer segment. So don't worry, you're not selling to the same people. And a lot of people think that they work in a mindset of scarcity rather than a mindset of abundance. I was working in a mindset of abundance. The more potters, the better for me. And even the last 2 shows, I had a whole nother potter in my shed selling with me. And Nan made some good money. And I made some good money. And people loved the variety, right? So no reason to panic. So one revenue stream is, what will the market bear on the average of what's being sold? Also, another revenue pricing is basically taking all your raw materials and doing a cost analysis. And if you wanted a cost analysis worksheet, I have one on my website. It's free for you to download. Just type in the search cost analysis web worksheet, and you can get that and add up your raw materials, right? With you getting paid, add in what you want to get paid. There's a section there to put in for wholesale and a section for retail. And there's even a section for figuring out, I think there's a section for figuring out both electric and gas. And also the weights of raw materials and the cost involved with that. So when I dip a mug, I know that each mug comes out roughly to $7.25. That's before cobalt went up. So everything needs to be revamped this year because I had some Gersley borate left over, had some EPK left over. All those raw materials just skyrocketed because of the mines and material changes, and some running out, and some being different, and some availability problems, and there's a whole host of things. You should always have a backup, right? There's always a backup. So I'm going to be dealing some with that because I ran out of supplies a little bit, at least for my next show. I think I got enough for this show here. But anyways, doing that is very helpful. So the different forms of revenue, and we already talked about some of these, is how our customer is going to pay you and how to generate revenue. You can have pots for sale, right? An asset sale, which you're selling physical products, right? And some of these potters aren't going to use all that much. Others will. So you're selling a physical product for an asset sale. So that is one way that you would generate revenue. Another is a usage fee. I don't know too many potters that rent out their pots for things, but other forms of selling do. And as I said before, there are subscription fees that you could charge your fans or the people that care about what you do and want to support you. I know, say for example, a good one is both with music. Amazon Music does this, right? You pay in a fee, and they provide you with the service. Some potters do this, as I mentioned before. They may have a website set up with some subscription platform that you can pay to watch them and help support them and their work because you believe in it. Also, lending, renting, and leasing. This is, you wouldn't rent out pots, but some people do. They may have leasing software or renting software, or if they had a car rental, that would be part of a revenue stream. And also with software licensing. And so you would sell a license to that. Brokerage fees and different things. So potters and artists wouldn't really use brokerage fees, but I'm just bringing it up because it's part of a revenue stream that some people use. And also, advertising is huge. So if you ran some kind of podcast or newspaper or print, you could sell advertising space, or you could make posters or whatever, and generate revenue that way. However, I think that a lot of times what we're looking for are more practical things that artists can do. So what can we do selling pots that's more practical? So we just talked about maybe 5 or 6 things that are the norm that business use, the different ways to raise revenue and to receive revenue. One of the ways selling pottery is through your local community. So you would show up a whole bunch of different places and think long term, right? Think like 10 years. And show up at the fire hall, show up at different places, community fairs. Start out small. And a lot of people say, I wouldn't go to flea markets. You would if you were starting out, right? And never take advantage or never take your customers for granted on where they might be. A lot of good folks started out at flea markets. A lot of good folks started selling mugs and things out of the back of their trunks along the road, right? So don't discount that. You're never too good. You're never too good to sell anywheres, right? Starting out. So another revenue stream is having your own little shop, local. Some people, like I have a shed here, Pottery Shed, and I do a bunch of shows a year in collaboration with local businesses. So the local community can come and support me, and they're very kind for doing so, and I very much appreciate it. So you can choose to do that. You can set something up at your house. And I see questions being asked all the time. Hey, could I just set up a little tent? So if you have an HOA, look out for that, right? Make sure you have the proper permits with your state and be able to collect state taxes if you're actually going to make money for a business. And there's a limit to how much you can make before it ends up being a business. So research all the business aspects of that before you set up your tent every Saturday afternoon, right? So that's one thing that you can do. That's getting your work out there. Showing your work to galleries. Start out small with small galleries. There are some places that you can get into with very basic work, and then as you build, they help you build, right? And you find new buyers, and from there you have a home base to go elsewhere and to sell work elsewhere. And another thing that I see happening: never sign exclusivity rights to a gallery. A lot of people will look for that, and they end up being owned by the gallery, and the gallery tells them what to make, when to make it, who to make it for. And a lot of times when you have an idea and you would like to sell outside of that or try something outside of that, you're limited because you signed a contract. So don't get into that. Not unless that's for you, right? If it's for you, read the paperwork like 8 times before you sign anything. Also, you can get into small shops, and they can sell your work for you and send you a check. It's nice. So they usually take 30%. Now, here's another lookout. Do not, and I repeat, do not sign up for a place that charges both shelf space rent and on top of that charge a commission, right? So anybody that's offering you deals, oh yeah, we got tons of traffic coming through here. We have a shelf. You get a whole shelf for $100 a month, and then we also take 30% of your sale. So, sounds good up front, right? Because if they had a ton of people coming and a ton of people coming through, then that would be something that you could do, right? But a lot of times you end up paying them and they end up taking a lot of work for free. And you feel bad seeing all that money that you worked for go out in fees and charges, right? So find a shop that only takes commission and appreciates you being there and has customers that shop there that are for you, right? So think about that also. Scope out the place, what kind of people shop there, what kind of other work is there, and maybe even talk to some of those artists and find out what they're doing. So another way that you can generate revenue is to go to shows and submit work to shows. Now, those shows can be picky. They're hard to get into because they have all these requirements, and then once you meet all those requirements, they have more requirements to eliminate people down to the 300 or so they need to choose to have the show, right? So before you do any of that, always remember that you can pick yourself. It is not your work per se. It is not your how well that you can take a photo of a piece, how well that you can please a certain jury, 5 people in a room looking at thousands and thousands of pieces, right? It's about making work that matters for folks who care. And I've known plenty of people who had beautiful work totally get eliminated out of some really nice shows because they didn't write a very decent artist statement, or their booth looked too crowded, or the juror, the person judging the work, may have had indigestion or was falling asleep and just eliminated them, right? So they get the rejection letter and think it's them, right? Don't let them gaslight you. It may not even be your work, but just know that that process is out there. It can be a revenue stream. Folks who are in it, who have mastered not only the work, but also have mastered the million ways to avoid elimination to get in, right? But that is a revenue stream that you can make a decent living at if you're good at doing all those things. And there are some great people out there that will train you and will be happy to take your money and train you in the circus act so that you can do all the tricks to meet the requirements to get into the shows, right? Also, another way to generate revenue is to submit work for a call for work from galleries or organizations. And sometimes you can win prizes, but also you can get your name out there and get viewed by people who might care and will come back later and buy your work. Now, here's the thing. You'll have about 600 charity groups calling you up and saying that they will help you get your name out there. If you donate a thing, you will get exposure, right? The only person who you get exposure for is if you do it yourself, right? Never count on anybody else for exposure. And if you're not out there talking about your work, if you're not out there showing people what you do, talking to the people who care, and making work that matters, and having people find you to support you, you're taking a chance by leaving it up to somebody else to market your work, and they don't care about it as much as you do. That's all I'm saying. So even though there is a possibility that could be a revenue stream for you, submitting work to shows or sending in work to be seen or to get seen or to have exposure, know that the outcome of that might not be as good as they will say it is. Now, don't get me wrong, there are ways of doing that. After doing it many times and you get your name out there, you could very well gain customers and a revenue stream from doing things that way. However, just be very careful about where you're sending your work and who's representing you, because nobody cares as much about your work as you do, right? Also, platforms to sell on, like Etsy, but all those places also have fees, so just look into those, but they can be very good revenue streams. I have a friend who does great on Etsy. She sells cat bowls and animal watering bowls and food bowls. She does great. She makes a lot of sales per month on Etsy selling pots, and so that is a revenue stream. Having your own website, if you looked at some of the more famous potters, they do that. They make special collections, have special drop times. They build up momentum within the group, and then they may have 1 or 2 sales a year. So you could do that also. All right, well, that was kind of long, and I hope that I didn't put you to sleep, right? But I hope that you can use your pots to make some money, and when you do, you think about the revenue streams. All right, friends, until next time, thanks for listening. And if you haven't seen the website, go check it out. I have my newsletter. It's right on the blog page. You can read that. You don't need to get it in your email. I have the Pen Pal Club. So my address is there under the Pen Pal program on the website. You can send me a letter, right? I'll be waiting out by the mailbox for it. Send me a letter, I'll write you back, right? Leave a comment, and like this podcast in your favorite listening podcast player. I really appreciate it. And what else I had? The Pottery Dailies. Sign up for that. All of it's free. I got some journals on Amazon, my project journal, and a few others that you can check out. Until next time, I'm gonna go take a break now, and I'll see you again in 2 weeks. All right. So have a great early spring, and when I come back on, I'll tell you how the spring show went. All right. So take care, friends. Make work that matters for folks who care, and I'll see you later.